On this episode of Rock Down South, we sit down with rock band New Monarch. We talk all about how the band came together and their brand new music. We hope you all enjoy. Let's go.
Hi, this is Sebastian Duke with New Monarch, and you are listening to Rock Down South.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Rock Down South, your home for rock and country music. Today, we had the pleasure of speaking with Sebastian Duke from the rock band New Monarch. And these guys are a really cool new band, which consists of members previously from Red Sun Rising and Wilson. They have a few new songs out and an album on the way. Their latest single, For the Day You Left, is an absolutely killer track that has a really cool music video as well. Sebastian tells us all about how the band came together, what it was like working with legendary rock producer Bob Marlette, and much, much more. So without further ado, here's the show. What's up, Sebastian? How are you doing today?
What's up?
Really glad you could jump on here today. I was looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking to a Southern guy. I'm also down here in the South. So.
Oh, really? Where from?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay. Is that where you're at right now?
Yep. Norman. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So what was it like growing up in Oklahoma?
I didn't quite grow up here, but I've been in Oklahoma probably since I was about 13. So, I mean, it's small town stuff. There's not really much going on other than trying to not get in trouble.
So you grew up around there after 13. Were you in bands before this latest project?
Yeah, I was in some local Tulsa bands. We didn't really get off the ground too far, because, you kind of get stuck in your hometown.
Yeah, I know that. But now you're part of this brand new project, New Monarch, with Ryan Williams, James how do you say his last name?
Leskew.
Leskew.
Like Romanian.
Oh, yeah, and Matt
Pooey.
Matt Pooey. That's how you say his last name.
Yeah.
And so I know those guys were from previously established bands. Is that pretty exciting working with guys like that?
Yeah, it's nice to have conversations with people who have, toured the world and paid their dues and stuff, and they all are like professional. They have a work ethic that is not common for what I'm used to. So
yeah. So how'd you meet up with these guys? How'd you guys connect?
The internet. I just became friends with Ryan maybe a couple weeks before he made a post looking for a singer, and I threw him some recordings and he liked what he heard. So
yeah, I could see why he'd like your voice, man. I really dig it. It's you got some talent there. It's I like it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Not everybody has a voice like that, and I bet they were glad to link up with a talented guy like you.
Yeah, I mean they've kept me around so far. So
so far. So let's talk about the latest music. I gave it all a listen, all of it that you guys had released, and I think maybe a couple songs have been unreleased. But is this part of a EP or an album that's going to be coming out?
Yeah, this is going to be a full album. I think we're looking at somewhere around this fall is going to be a release. So, yep.
Oh, nice. Full-length album. And then I know you're working with a pretty big-time producer on that. Was it Bob Marlette?
Bob Marlette, yep.
Yeah. He's done a lot of stuff, like Airborne, one of my favorite bands, and of course Seether, who is of course legendary.
Right. Yeah, and Shinedown. I think the main reason we went with him was because he had done previous work with Red Sun Rising. So Ryan and him, had a connection. So
that's cool. So what was it like working with him?
That's fantastic. He's brutally honest and he has good ideas about things that sometimes you don't think about as a musician. And he's really a stickler for making the band pop in the good way, like making everybody's parts stand out, I think is kind of his strong suit. So
now when it came to you in the vocal booth, Did he have to push you to get a certain type of sound or something like that? Or did it just all come pretty naturally on this record?
He pretty much just let me do what I did, like he would give notes here and there, and most of the notes was stuff that I was already aware of, like sometimes there'd be parts where I wasn't being quite as emotional where I should have been. And sometimes he's just like, hey, dude, get into it, walk away if you need to, that kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I had to ask about that because it definitely in your music, you guys go from being super, super heavy with your, not just the guitars and everything, but with your vocals. You're doing some pretty awesome yells and screams in there to very, very, calm and soft and melodic and emotional, and then just back up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was super cool.
Yeah. I think that just comes from having a bunch of different influences, I don't like to sing aggressively all the time, but I also don't like singing clean all the time. Sometimes I like to have grit, Guys I look up to are like Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder, stuff like that. They put that grit into their voice. And really a big one for me early on was Freddie Mercury, how he would have that clean vocal, but then whenever he would do his highs, it wasn't stale. He would actually like add some rasp to the top of it. It just changes the way it sounds. So
Yeah, I could hear a little bit of that in you. A good example of that kind of going, real hard and then kind of soft is I think one of your most recent songs, "The Day You Left." That one's really good, man. That one's super heavy at times.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, you know what it reminded me of? That really, really crunchy guitar riff, which of course gets you right off the bat. It reminded me of something like that Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine would write for like maybe an Audio Slave record.
I appreciate that because that's one of my favorite bands. I think that's one of Ryan's favorite bands. I think when Ryan was writing that riff, he was wanting something that would just get a crowd moving, and give kind of a good platform for like a chorus,
Yeah, that riff is getting stuck in my head. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
A couple other songs I listened to that I enjoyed. Paper Noose. That one is super heavy, man. I like that one.
Yeah, that one is going to be fun to release. It's not out there yet, but yeah, I think that's probably one of my favorite ones on the record, and it's also one of the most emotional ones that I've put myself out there on.
Yeah, I think the people will like that one when it comes out. And then another song, not as heavy as the others, but I really enjoyed it. "The Fray." That one has an excellent, catchy chorus to it.
Yeah, that song was actually the first song that Ryan and I ever wrote together. He had sent me the kind of rough draft of like the instrumental thing when we very, very first were deciding to work together. And I came up with that melody kind of like on the spot. And it was the first, like, we met up in Ohio at his house, and we were trying to work through like trying to write some lyrics and stuff like that. And we were kind of at like a dead end, and I ended up telling him just press record on his DAW, and I just sang the melody that you hear on the song all the way through, and then we went through and just like fixed the lyrics.
Wow.
It was an improv thing. Like I was kind of surprised that it turned out as good as it did.
Is that the fastest you've had something that magically came together like that?
Yes and no. Like as far as like a finished song with New Monarch, yes. But in my own personal writing, a lot of the times I'll be strumming on the acoustic and I'll just have a chorus come out and I just record it, file it back for later. So I think the faster ideas like that they just come out of nowhere are usually the best ones.
Yeah, I've heard that from, a lot of different artists. They have kind of their own writing style. Some people, the stuff that comes to them quickest is usually the best. And then other people, they got to tinker with something to get it just right. And then a lot of people, I guess, are in between and they kind of do a mix of this and that. Some will come easier, some will come not as easy.
Yep. Yeah, there's another song on this record that altogether I had been working on this specific song for maybe 8 years. and having the whole band and working on it together, it is now finished. So not all of them come in 5 minutes, you know.
You crack the code on the song.
Right. Well, yeah, it's just one of those things where you get in a room and you vibe with people, and it's like, oh wait, why didn't I think of that before? You know.
I bet that's a good feeling.
It's great. Yeah.
So one of the questions I always save for talented vocalists is, if you could do something different with your voice, emulate another singer, something that you can't really do right now, or maybe something that you hope to attain to do with your voice one day, what would that be?
I would like to focus on getting more false chord and pitched fry screams. I can do them. It's just one of those things where you hear some of the guys that kind of pull that stuff off, like Matt Heffy from Trivium. You know, he hits these notes that are just ridiculous, and yet at the same time they're like fry scream. I used to do more like the death metal, like guttural growl type stuff, but I had never actually spent time to learn how to do like false chord fry screaming. So that is something that I have spent some time trying to like perfect, but it is a lot harder than what I think people think it is, you know, because if you don't do it right, you end up degrading your clean voice. So yeah.
Interesting. So these next questions are what we close with and ask everyone.
Mhm.
So first question, what would you tell your 21-year-old self?
Keep doing what you're doing, I guess.
All right, next question. What are you drinking lately? And if you don't drink alcohol, it'd be anything refreshing you like to drink.
Mostly water and every now and then a margarita.
Margarita, you like frozen or on the rocks?
On the rocks.
Of course. You like jalapeno margaritas?
Haven't had it.
Ooh, got to try a jalapeno margarita this summer. Although I don't know if it's going to be good for your vocal cords or your voice. You might have to stay away from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Alcohol is one of those things that I don't do while I'm singing. You know, it's some people are fantastic. You give them a couple shots and they just go out there and nail it. I'm one of the kind of guys where it dries out my voice more than anything, and I like to keep everything loosey goosey. So
we're not going to see you taking any shots on stage mid-song.
probably not.
So as you know, this is Rock Down South. So what is something, or maybe a couple things that come to mind, that you love about the South?
Being able to go into the woods and hang out with people that are very, very down to home. And, you know, I haven't really spent much time in the rural areas of the rest of the country, so I don't know if it's like that elsewhere. But down here, people treat you like they know you for the most part.
Great answer. Well, thank you so much, Sebastian, for being a part of the show today. Where can people find to connect with you, the guys in New Monarch online?
Yeah, if you go to New Monarch on Facebook, we should be the first band that comes up. Same thing with like Spotify, YouTube, all the major platforms. We have 3 songs released right now. Just go to New Monarch, type in The Fray, Pearls, or The Day You Left after New Monarch, and it will come up.
Thank you so much for listening to the show today. We hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I had a really great time chatting with Sebastian. He is a fantastic vocalist, and I cannot wait to hear more from the band. So make sure to go follow Sebastian and New Monarch on all of their social media pages and give their latest single, The Day You Left, a listen, as well as the music video. And keep a lookout for new music, as they will be releasing more soon. Check out all our content at rockdownsouth.com and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for the latest updates. Also, leave us a 5-star review if you can. We would really appreciate it. And as always, the views and opinions expressed by our guests are theirs and don't necessarily reflect our own. I'm Mark, and you've been listening to Rock Down South. See y'all next time.